Hello, my name is Helen Astin and I worship here at St Peter's in Thorner. Today's reading and reflection comes from the Gospel of St Matthew, chapter 20, verses 1 to 16. For the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire labourers for his vineyard. After agreeing with the labourers for the usual daily wage, he sent them into his vineyard. When he went out about 9 o'clock, he saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and he said to them, "You also go to the vineyard, and I will pay you whatever is right." So they went. When he went out again about noon and about 3 o'clock, he did the same. And about 5 o'clock, he went out and found others standing around. And he said to them, "Why are you standing here idle all day?" They said to him, "Because no one has hired us." He said to them, "You also go into the vineyard." When evening came, the owner of the vineyard said to his manager, "Call the labourers and give them their pay, beginning with the last and then going to the first." When those hired about 5 o'clock came, each of them received the usual daily wage. Now when the first came, they thought they would receive more, but each of them also received the usual daily wage. And when they received it, they grumbled against the landowner, saying, These last worked only 1 hour, and you have made them equal to us, who have borne the burden of the day and the scorching heat." But he replied to them, "Friends, I am doing you no wrong. Did you not agree with me for the usual daily wage? Take what belongs to you and go. I choose to give to this last the same as I give to you. Am I not allowed to do what I choose with what belongs to me? Or are you envious because I am generous? So the last will be first, and the first will be last." For me, 2 key messages arise from this reading. The first being that we cannot earn God's grace, love, and forgiveness. He freely gives this to us regardless of our own merit or lack of it, and how much work we did. The second message being, so the last will be first and the first will be last. What do these 2 messages mean today? I believe that this reading is challenging us all as Christians and as a society to look how we currently treat those who are last. It is a call to action. Do we want to go back to normal, or should we be working, using our God-given talents and praying for a fairer, more equal, new normal? If we want a new normal, what would that look like? I would suggest that we're being called to work for a fair and just society for all. That we are all being called to continue to show our love and practical support for the last in society, both here in Leeds and worldwide. This may mean continuing to support Wydan, St George's Crypt, the food banks, Christian Aid, and the ongoing work of our benefice and diocese in their work with asylum seekers, the homeless, those who cannot afford to feed themselves and their families, and also refugees. But are these actions just sticking plasters? Should we also be campaigning for homes for everyone? Do we care what will happen in April 2021? Lobbying our government to honour its commitment to child refugees in Europe and Syria. Ensuring all employees are treated fairly and rewarded so they can afford to eat their homes and feed their families, so that everyone, without discrimination, can live with dignity. Yes, this will all cost money, whether additional tax revenue or directly from our own pockets in giving, plus our time and our prayers. Like the workers in the vineyard, we may complain about others getting something for nothing, or receiving and having less than ourselves. You may not agree with my interpretation of this gospel reading, but I would encourage you to watch or re-watch the recent videos by Bishop Nick Baines. Links to these will be in the email, where he asks us what we want the future to look like and what is the job of the church. While we can't earn God's grace, love and redemption that has been freely given to us, what is he calling us as individuals and a church to do for the least? I'm going to end not with a prayer, but with a poem by George Eliot. Count that day lost. If you sit down at act of sun and count the acts that you have done, and counting find one self-denying deed, one word, that eased the heart of him who heard, one glance most kind, that fell like sunshine where it went, then you may count that day well spent. But if through all the lifelong day you've cheered no heart by yea or nay, if through it all you've done nothing that you can trace that brought sunshine to one face, no act most small that helped some soul and nothing cost, then count that day as worse than lost.